Asia narrative with, Japan and Hong Kong embracing crypto, unlike the US, like we talked about last week. And so,
hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cryptosparta Podcast. We got some interesting stuff with
this past week has been pretty exciting with, crypto kind of, I don't know, like we said last time, the macro kind of isn't there, but there's stuff happening in crypto still. Like, there's still coins pumping, like, even though Bitcoin and ETH have been got down this past week, kind of about 5%. Bitcoin was like from 24.5 last week to like 23, and then ETH was 17K to 16K. And so there's things like the macro is not quite there, but Arbitrum has been pumping, like we said. There's like kind of this Asia narrative with Japan and Hong Kong embracing crypto, unlike the US, like we talked about last week. And so there's a lot of coins just randomly pumping.
I think some of the things too that we were going to touch on, and actually I think we missed it in the notes, but the link, like the idea that, oh no, you got it there. Yeah, Chainlink, like there are developments in key technologies that are going to continue to expand, and like the stories that we told before have changed. They're bubbling back up. Exactly. Like things, like people can say that if price goes up, price goes down, but like at the end of the day, these are technologies that are going to be pretty serious. And so the Chainlink usage on the Coinbase stuff is going to be important. But
the biggest announcement probably mainstream was Coinbase announcing they're launching their own layer 2 called Base, using Optimism stack. So they're gonna have their L2 similar to like Polygon, Solana, and that has been huge because Coinbase is probably the basis for normies, like how to onboard more users.
Well, I think that really, you can go into retrospect of FTX was a fraud and they were everywhere. And Coinbase has been the OG that you can trust, and people have faith in Brian Armstrong. But every time you put a hero in crypto, like your crypto hero will turn to every hero is gone to you live.
Live long enough to see yourself become a villain. So,
man, SBF and.
But the thing that's different too is that Coinbase is on the stock market, so it's a publicly traded company. It has to follow certain regulation.
I had this thought that I actually wanted to talk about, because we've talked about macro and we talk about crypto and prices and technology and rights. Coinbase, to understand crypto, you have to understand Coinbase. Do you know how long Coinbase has been around, Brian?
Since at least 2010.
2013, I think. I know that they were doing real volume of Bitcoin.
Brian Armstrong was around during the last bear market.
They've improved their user interface. They did all this stuff. They've been fighting lawyers. They've grown a ton. It's really weird to see, if you look at them as a company, on paper, they win and lose millions of dollars based off of the price of the assets that they accumulate, because when people trade on their platform, they get a little bit of the tokens and they pay a fee.
And they try with Coinbase Pro, larger volumes.
It's a cutthroat industry, and then they've weathered all of it. And then to have them put out the idea that they're going to do an L2, they did their own wallet, which was smart, and they've gotten a lot of business, and they never did the loaning out that FTX did.
Yeah.
There must have been so much temptation for Brian Armstrong to sell out.
Yeah, you couldn't stake Link or Earn.
So, did you ever stake on BlockFi?
No, I didn't. I staked on Gemini and then I staked in Celsius.
I'm gonna tell you a little story. I got a piece of mail, and I used to live in New Jersey when I worked for my old company, and I got a New Jersey state letter of bankruptcy, and
from BlockFi.
From BlockFi,
similar to like a Celsius lawsuit.
I took out, I staked, like, I was buying a lot of ETH at cheap. That's why I got hooked. That's like what hooked me. Well,
at
first it was that I was just chipping it. Well, no, I loved crypto from before then. I loved it when I was in college, reading about the giant crash while I was like, or not in college.
In college, I just heard.
In college, I liked hearing about, exactly. I liked hearing about how people used it, and I liked learning about, like, you know, I guess we can't get in trouble for talking about it. Just like, I mean, Ross Ulbricht and trading Bitcoin on the internet and honestly transacting. That was like happening in our colleges where Bitcoin was like, what, 20, 30 bucks?
Less than that.
And then you just send people Bitcoin and then people get stuff in the mail.
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, I didn't know.
That's how it started.
How did you get that wallet? I just knew it was getting traded to buy drugs.
Or like, just, it was like, fake IDs, weapons, and like that. Everybody said that it was the Silk Road, and it was with Tor. And so, yeah, I had friends that were into computer science that were like, yeah, this is like how you access stuff, like the onion router. And the idea is that there's the layers and there's privacy. And then Bitcoin like shot up, and I knew people that mined it because literally you could mine it off your laptop. And if you were mining it off your laptop when it started, you were getting like a lot of Bitcoin just for like connecting your Wi-Fi to the internet. Now
stories that like people in colleges were using like campus libraries to mine Bitcoin back in the day.
So what's that one dude? He was like,
this chick did it.
It's this rather large African American black guy that he tells people on YouTube, when YouTube was like, it was like, beginning of YouTube is insane.
Oh yeah, it was like 2008 or something.
And then like 10 years later or 5 years later, it's like me and all the friends I made on YouTube that bought Bitcoin. And this guy's like, just like average.
I did.
And he was doing videos,
it was
right?
Like in the rain too. He was like yelling at me.
He was like, hey guys, I really think you should get a lot of Bitcoin. And then 5 years later on a yacht being like, these are the Bitcoin friends I met on the internet. But beginning YouTube and
so it's all about like onboarding users, like linking back, circling back to the Coinbase news, where it's like Coinbase has 110 million users that they can integrate, building apps on layer 2, and it's also a way to earn revenue too. So like from fees, having your own L2. There's not going to be a coin though.
They've been talking about how CZ, Changpeng Zhao, Binance CEO, how they buy people's users, because these.
But they also make a lot off of fees on their BNB chain.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm trying to get at is that all these tinier companies that have a lot of users, like the overhead eats it up, you know what I mean? Or like if the volume dies down, they're not paying their bills, or they don't have enough liquidity. And then CZ, big bank take little bank. Oh, you have like, I can monetize your 50,000 users through your company, but like I'll just buy your users because you're bankrupt because you guys didn't take care of your balance sheet, or because you lent money to the wrong people. Like,
well, that was like the that diagram of small fish eats, slightly bigger fish eats that smaller fish, slightly bigger fish eats that slightly bigger fish.
Big banks take little banks.
Like, BlockFi, then FTX, and then, Binance and, Voyager and that kind of deal. So it's just like slowly accumulate till you're the biggest, fish in the pond.
Well, the goofy thing is, what I wanted to circle back to the difference with Coinbase versus the other companies, like you mentioned. People were like, so you were saying, are they really not going to do a token for the L2?
There's no token. It's just
but the base,
it's like,
base token pumped 700%. Apparently, it's totally unrelated.
Yeah.
No. It was from like 5 years ago.
Yeah, and but it's same symbol. It was base.
So it used to be like a 2017 coin when the ICOs went crazy.
Yeah.
And then that coin, like, it actually was a project that did something. And people used to buy it, and then people were like, whoa, dude, I found like a coin that I bought 5 years ago that was meaningless, that pumped because of the Coinbase news.
Because they thought that coin was a part of it. But they've announced that there's not going to be a coin.
But people have talked about it, and you mentioned it. Coinbase has a coin. It just happens to be a stock.
Yeah.
And I thought that the Coinbase stock should go up because it got pummeled. It was super high at the beginning.
Wall Street didn't know how to price it. It just didn't know the.
It was overpriced. Well,
because the thing was that everyone in crypto Twitter was praising the move, yet the stock market, coin stock actually went down because the people who run Wall Street are probably not that crypto knowledgeable.
And the crazy thing is, though, Coinbase is at the whims of the government.
They're the only left complying with the regulators.
They actually didn't go bankrupt and create a Ponzi, and they're still getting hammered by the SEC. And then they had losses on paper because crypto went down. Those are paper losses. This is one thing I want to explain to people. They hold a shit ton of, because they just take their fees and their overhead at scale. The crypto companies can make a ton of money, but they take a lot of their payments in fractions of the Bitcoin and Ethereum and whatever coin is traded on. But then they do like $1 fee. But you need to have a shit ton of transactions. You also have to pay lawyers, compliance, regulations, competition in crypto. They're competing against Uniswap. Uniswap doesn't have to deal with the US government. Or I mean, maybe they do, but the 5th or 10th swap.
They probably got sued by the US government. Because that's how they want to handle things these days, is through court.
Well,
instead of actually drafting any laws.
The thing that I think is scary is that all of the world governments are going to be doing whack-a-mole, but instead of doing whack-a-mole, they're going to go straight to us. And it's Elizabeth Warren, and the team that posts our podcast should tag Elizabeth Warren on this. Does Elizabeth Warren believe that people have a right to privacy in terms of financial transactions or, digital credit scores? I don't think she does. I think that cash is like a weird big loophole. And there's this saying that I've told people over and over again. Politicians and governments, if they had technology when they invented cash, they would make cash illegal, which is what's going to happen. So the whack-a-mole of, if you use Uniswap or Coinbase or this or that, if you want to break the law or if you want to do things anonymously, I think that's going to be illegal soon. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Brian?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they need to keep track of it.
Well, you're not allowed to give money back and forth anonymously on the internet and avoid taxes.
They want to track everything.
They would like to track. And so then that means basically no privacy, right?
Which, that's where crypto and real money butt heads. Because you want to, the whole point of crypto is to be bankless, not reliant.
And the thing about Bitcoin and crypto is that it can be put onto physical hard drives. The biggest thing is, how are they going to track you? And then what are the penalties going to be? And
the thing is about crypto too is there's ways to be anonymous. There's extra layers that you can go to be anonymous. And so,
Well, and the weird thing is too,
what
if you just decide to give people things? And then the US
have so many.
the US government says that if you give a gift worth more than X amount of money, then you have to register it, and then you have to like say it about your taxes.
Yeah.
Dude, if I give you a USB drive with a Bored Ape, do you need to register with the government? Should I be in trouble? Is that a
Yeah.
if I give you a Bored Ape, that's
$100,000.
$100,000. But can I not just give you a USB drive? But it has a Bored Ape on it.
It's weird.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it's now changed it to it can be completely anonymous onto a tiny physical piece of. The biggest thing is the idea of a hot wallet and a cold wallet. And the scary thing is I think that the future generation is not going to know what it's like to be offline or disconnected or have things not go through their phone. But imagine having a physical hard drive where the way people move money or important or expensive objects, Rolexes, paintings, gold, diamonds. Can you physically just hand people things of value without reporting it to a government and getting taxed?
That's true.
Can you give a gift?
Gift of
family jewels.
Yeah.
Family jewels. They've got them in a safe in Switzerland. The government isn't allowed to see what it is in, and the family passes it down generation to generation. Or do you report that, and after 5 generations, it's at 5% because you have $10 million worth of diamonds, and each time someone dies, you give a diamond up.
There's no asset class, and that's actually, bodes the way for Chainlink and the tokenization of real world assets.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, and honestly, we're working on it with Smartifact Labs and 3D photos of physical objects. And I think the idea of the physical
$1 billion industry, especially with real estate, collectibles, all that good stuff.
And the verification through Chainlink, and then the explosion of the use cases. We've been waiting for it to hit the curve. The idea of if you start doing the math behind Chainlink and how much Chainlink organization has dumped the coin on people, and they just do it bit by bit, extracting tons of money.
Sacrificing short term for long term.
But then, what was that one green text where it was like talking about the
Sergey is like
I was told there would be chicken tenders behind the door, and I've been waiting for Chainlink to hit 1,000, but I've just been waiting, and he just keeps dumping on me. And instead of chicken tenders, there's just poop.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think the tokenization of real world assets is gonna be huge. Way to invest, like, just eliminates a lot of the inefficiencies within real world.
So there's a meme that gets spread around like crypto about I don't know if people or whoever's listening or Brian have even seen or remember. It was the prequel of Star Wars with Anakin Skywalker, where he's a little kid. And then it's a scene where Obi-Wan Kenobi comes down to see the kid Anakin Skywalker before he does the speed races. And then there's the guy who owns him, and it's like some alien who's like green with like a nose, and then he like he's trying to repair this stuff
with the big bug eyes.
Yeah, with the bug eyes. And his nose kind of wobbles grossly like a hot dog or something. And then the guy's like, I have government credits. And he's like, government distributed credits aren't worth anything.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if the threat of crypto coins, I feel like the cat's out of the bag, and I guess maybe the Asian countries you think they're just tracking the crypto and tracking all the wallets?
Well, I don't know. This goes back to that Asian narrative where, Japan and Hong Kong are trying to be very favorable crypto regulators. So we'll see. Everything is tracked anyway because it's ledger, whatever. Like, it's just whether you have the people that are experienced that can track. If you have the sleuths that can identify, like, imagine like Zach XBT like working for the government. Kind of like Catch Me If You Can.
I was about to say Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Imagine Leo. Yeah.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's not that hard. It's pretty hard to get away with stuff.
Yeah,
honestly,
Zach
they're tracking us
XBT,
all the time.
You just gotta know where to look. So yeah, so imagine we had Frank Abagnale working for the U.S. government regarding crypto. But yeah, that's crazy, as far as macro. But
I'm gonna say something though. So we had done different formats for the podcast, but like in India, when they do movies, they don't do movies all the way through because their movie theaters have like all sorts of like a food court. It's like you go to dinner.
So there's a pause.
There's a pause in the middle. We're gonna do an intermission. We're experimenting with the intermission style.
You did that again, and that did not.
Intermission is over, and
we're transferring back from NFTs because NFTs is still like there's a storyline there, especially with all these coins popping. We talked about Blur last week, but we're gonna talk about Pudgy. So we're start off with Pudgy Penguins right now. There's been another licensing deal.
So what I wanted to get at was that like Luca Netz has been talking about the idea of brand management. And so Icebags has also talked about the idea of like mainstreaming stuff. These are two projects, Pudgy Penguins and Kapai Pandas. Not financial advice. I'm invested in both of them. I'll tell you guys that. Got a couple ROGs.
I have one ROG.
Yeah, I have 3. You need to. So this is one rule about NFT investing. You want 3. You want the one where you take profits. You want the one that you keep forever, and you want the one that you hold out until you make a ton of money. So the first one, you try to wait. Hopefully you sell it for at least a profit, but you sell it for like the value of all 3 that you paid for. Yeah, and then you have a free roll. Basically, you have a free roll. Then the second one, you sell for like, okay, I'm going to take this money out of this ecosystem.
I need some more money.
Well, you just want to lock in the profits. Yeah. Or yeah, if you want, I mean, I don't know. The idea is though, this isn't like you can financialize and turn your NFT into a fractionalized thing where you can like give pieces of it away and sell pieces of it and get money back. But typically it's in a liquid market, which is really interesting to think about because the way that these markets work, there's only a few thousand or a few hundred of these different, coins that are unique coins. They might as well be the individual Bitcoins. And so the joke is always there will be 20 something million Bitcoin, and there's a finite number. But there's only 10,000 Bored Apes. What do you think is going to be worth more? This is the joke. Or there's only 8,808 Pudgy Penguins. If there's 21 million and there's only this many Pudgy Penguins, which one's going to be worth more? It's like, well, Bitcoin is a giant market and these are NFTs of penguins.
But, so it's crazy though. But penguins gotten in the news. You want to know about the Man City game though? Yeah.
So people have their profiles as Pudgy Penguins when they were on NBC today during a sports game. The Pudgy Penguins also were at NFT Paris, which
they're taking Twitter tweets and posting them about the game.
Yeah, and they're licensing now for toys. And the big thing is the gifts. So apparently Luca Netz has been charting the growth of the brand awareness of Pudgy Penguins, where there have been 3 billion impressions of Pudgy Penguin gifts alone, I believe. So they're starting to use, it's going to be like Flappy Birds of crypto. And what he was saying is, it's not necessarily about the proposed value. It's about the brand value and the scope of, really, with each crypto project and NFT project, how many people will get onboarded. And then he's like, I know that we need to make the floor price go up, but there's only so many pudgy penguins. And if literally millions and millions of people learn about pudgy penguins, the floor price will go up because of the value and the rarity. But Bored Apes got big because of fucking Justin Bieber, Eminem. There were a ton of celebrities.
Yeah, but so there's a trade deal. Did you see about that? Where this guy traded his Cheetah Bored Ape Yacht Club for 10 of the rarest pudgy penguins. And people on Twitter were saying this was a Herschel Walker trade where, you know...
Was this Minnesota
Dallas
trading
Cowboys
away? They said...
traded it away. Herschel Walker...
We're Minnesotan guys.
All the draft picks that ended up helping them win like 3 Super Bowls in the 90s.
And I thought they were referencing the Timberwolves. Oh.
We're talking about Herschel Walker, one of the most lopsided trades ever. You know, Dallas Cowboys great. Well, they traded to Minnesota.
No, but
like
the picks turned into Emmett Smith.
Seven like first rounders. Turned in Troy Aikman, Emmett Smith, Michael Irvin. Like, you know, all the top. That literally every single star player that helped them win 3 Super Bowls in the 90s. And so people were saying that, you know, the guy who traded his Bored Ape Yacht Club was probably going to regret that trade because it was like 10 of the rarest pudgy penguins. And it seems like pudgy penguins have a goal in mind too.
One of the things was
a clear strike.
What they were saying was that it was kind of do you remember when Kanye and 50 Cent had that
beef over who could sell the most albums?
And then they both sold more because of the beef.
Even though, Kanye sells.
It brought a lot of attention to the rare penguins, and the rare penguin floors rose. But the amount of market manipulation around the Bored Ape Yacht Club with Maki and I think Franklin.
We talked about Blur last week, how
it has
revolutionized things. That only lasted a week, where everyone found a cheat code in the game and took advantage of it.
Well, no, it's not actually a cheat code. So let's get through what really happened, because I think that it's really funny where at the end of the day, crypto, unless you get really, it is actually full no rules barred, because you will get scammed and cheated. Because I was like, the rules are spelt out there, and like, you know, you play by the rules. But I was like, no, people hack, steal, people like rug.
It's a game, so
it's a total game.
People gamify the rules.
And the way that Blur worked was, if you bid on stuff, if you want to put a bid on a Bored Ape Yacht Club at 80,000, and then the Bored Ape Yacht Club floor is at 100,000, you don't buy a Bored Ape until it hits 80,000. But then you have to put your 80,000 up, and then by putting up that bid, you earn some Blur. And now, what's Blur worth? Blur got up to $1.50, and then the people that used Blur made Blur. So then you want to use Blur more, but you want to use Blur without actually spending your money, but you kind of got to give it to them. So then the people that were selling into this buy wall were like, holy shit, a ton of people have been giving their money to Blur to buy Bored Apes at a price that isn't there right now. And what if they actually have to buy? I don't think that it was. I was trying to explain it to people, and it really didn't impress upon them. But I sent Brian this one meme where it was like someone had a window broken in their car, and they were like, hey man, someone stole my Bored Ape because whatever. And then they were like, but they left 43 more Bored Apes in my car. Imagine you're like, I'll buy as many Bored Apes at 20% below the floor value. because I'm gonna give you guys like $500,000 or $1 million or X amount of money, because let's use $1 million. So when I put $1 million into bids on Bored Apes, then I earn Y amount of blur. And then based off of the blur price, if I get a lot of blur just for putting up bids way under the floor, then I earn, and the amount of blur was like $100,000, $200,000. And blur went down, but then they announced season 2. So everybody that used blur ended up earning tokens. And then the whales that just moved money back and forth between both hands.
Just to earn blur.
Just to earn blur. So say Brian and I are friends and I give him my Bored Ape and then he gives it back to me.
For a slightly lower price.
But I did some tax advantages and it's just between two hands. But we just earned $50,000 worth of blur for handing it back and forth.
Yeah.
Because I gave him, imagine it's a $10 million NFT. And I gave it to him and he gave it to me. And so on paper, we don't win or lose money. But suddenly by moving on blur, we're accruing blur that's worth actual money.
So if blur is at least $1, you're getting $60,000. The thing is that the system didn't take into account was the fact that if you're a wallet that owns not just like a couple, Bored Ape yacht clubs, like what if you own 200 or you own 100 Bored Ape yacht clubs, 200 Mutant Ape yacht clubs, and you start
the other deeds were the worst. And then the thing was, there's this other protocol. So what I wanted to get to was the contagion of, there is a way to take out loans against NFTs.
Yeah.
And what they use is, I think, Chainlink to validate what the floor price is and how much liquidity is put in across OpenSea, Blur, Looks Rare. I think it's X2, Y2 or something. Or there's a lot of NFT platforms, and you can do OTC NFT trades. You can do free trades. So I think that doesn't register your taxes and stuff. These are the questions I'd ask Elizabeth Warren. If I give Brian, if we do a fair trade and we just have 2 USB drives and I give him 10 rare penguins and he gives me a Bored Ape.
I gotta pay taxes.
And how do you value that? How do you value an ice crown penguin versus a little pudgy penguin as well as a gold crown penguin?
Yeah, it's just like,
so what they were saying was
trading cards where it's like you go
fair trade.
You go on Instagram and you see all these like sneaker conventions where they try to buy, they haggle on jewelry, they haggle on baseball cards, Pokemon cards, anything a rarity. It's basically a haggle on NFTs where, they set the value and they're negotiating trades.
The crazy thing about that trade, though, is that it was 10 rare pudgies for a cheetah skin Bored Ape. And they said that the cheetah skin Bored Ape, there are sitting bids on cheetah skin Bored Apes. And there is liquidity. So if you want to sell a cheetah skin Bored Ape, you can sell it any day of the week for like $500,000. But the 10 pudgy penguins that included rare little pudgies, no. How are you actually going to sell them piece by piece? Because the floor for rare pudgy penguins is not as clear. So you would have to find the buyers that would pay the fair market value. And what they both really benefited from was they each got a ton of attention, and it increased the value of both the rare cheetah skin as well as the rare pudgies. And they were like, just by making this deal, it's like Kanye and Kanye 50 Cent. Who cares? We both sold 30% more CDs because we had beef.
So yeah, it's crazy with the, the pudgy penguin stuff. But then there's also this other stuff that happened in NFTs. There NFT pairs happened.
NFT pairs, so they were pudgy penguins, and Luca Netz was there. He was giving out pudgy penguin dollars with like scratch off little secret wallets that gave you points to buy things, which is like a fun thing. But the D gods, there was the cringe video of like the dudes doing the worm, and it was bit of
mosh pitting.
a bit of a sausage
nerdy,
fest, but
nerdy mosh pit.
It seemed fun.
Not something that you'd be at in drunken.
No, but it was like a lot of people that kind of seemed pretty nerdy. But what I was trying to tell Brian was it might have been fun, and also a lot of people are spending a lot of money to be a part of these groups. Like, I don't know about D-Gods. They're on Solana.
Community is worth something.
These people are spending money to fly to Paris to do shit.
Yeah, they're having fun. I mean,
and some people were talking shit, and I'll talk shit. Like, dude, it looked really nerdy, and
yeah,
it was kind of, I don't know. It's just a ton of dudes dancing in a circle. It wasn't mosh pitting though. There was like a guy doing the worm.
I mean, pushing and shoving. There was like a little pushing.
It was just like lighthearted. It wasn't.
But
the
that's mosh
pitting.
pitting. Mosh pitting isn't like intense.
No, mosh pitting is almost like aggressive. I don't know.
You're not trying to harm them.
And there was that one guy. What did he say? I'll give 1 ETH to the person who spots a woman. Like, it's just like, it's interesting to advise. I don't want to be disrespectful, but people are joking about it, so I'm a little bit like, haha. But like, the point remains, people are flying to Paris to talk about NFTs, and these communities are very strong where people are, I think, as they're more and more disconnected and more digital, these in real life events for these crypto and NFT projects are going to be like, people will pay. And we can go to the Compi Pandas, Pandemonium in August, and then additionally John Bones Jones, UFC, doing real life, creating clubs and stuff.
Week. What are the odds that he has a Compi Panda logo on his shorts that he's advertising?
Ice bags, let us know.
What are the odds of that?
Podcast manager Sana, come on, clip it and ask Ice Bags, because we want to know, is this stuff going to be limited merch gear, or I don't know. I think Brian and I want to go to Compi Panda's Pandemonium in Vegas, but there's a shit ton of events, and the in real life stuff. There's Pudgy Penguins events in like Taipei. There's like people around the world who are like
communities. It's just like a Porsche community or a Porsche community that they meet up for car shows and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just a hobby, built community.
Oh, you have like distinguishing taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some Compi
very
Pandas.
Unique. It's like, I'm not alone in my very unique taste.
Let's just go to the shows though.
Yeah, we kind of hit everything. Like Blur it's funny because Blur last week was.
Oh, we didn't talk about Jack the Butcher, but yeah.
Want to talk about that real quick?
I mean, it's still alive. Like, he's kind
of just like.
It's like a Beeple. It's like another Beeple. It's like
the next Beeple kind of. And he's created these open editions.
Opepe Pen or Opie Pen or I don't know. Pen. But he's been changing them.
But they're basically circles with different solidity. It's got like.
Well, his brand is VV, Visualize Value, and the checks where they were burning became something, and then his other projects like Opepe Pen and. But I have 2 merge VVs. They've shot up like 10 times. Honestly, I wish I just bought 100.
He's kind of been this kind of sizes, or this season's like art blocks, doodles, like checks.
Like philosophical or theoretical art.
It's kind of crazy. That's kind of like the next art kind of scene, where it's like you had Picasso. You had Monet.
That's the thing about NFT Paris that I thought is like
art block. You have art blocks. You have doodles. You have checks. You have all these artists. Like, maybe the next and the biggest NFT artists will be like the biggest actual artists. Like, that's transferable as far as like, we'll have a metaverse VR display in the White House because the president would want that.
They were talking about it, how physical art. How many people do you have over for dinner? I like to invite a lot of people over. I think I'm on average more than 12, 20, 30 people maybe come into my house a year for a dinner and might see a piece of art. You have crypto wallet. Dude, Keyboard Monkey has one of the most famous, or Vincent Van Gogh. Some of these are galleries of NFTs, and they tell a story. They have thousands of NFTs. They're rich as fuck. These people who are CryptoPunk or Bored Ape Yacht Club whales, when I see their collection from my phone, I am like, holy shit. This guy has been doing it for years. He has millions of dollars. He must be rich as fuck. He's got how many CryptoPunks? How many Bored Apes? He's been collecting NFTs since when? This guy is rich as shit. If I see somebody with a couple CryptoPunks and a couple Bored Apes, I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
If I go to someone's house and I see a whatever, Pollock or a Van Gogh, I don't know. It's hard to. I don't go to that many. I mean, I've been to some places with some
do you know if they're real or if they're print? Like my parents, we have a print of the Van Gogh in our house. And when I was a kid, I thought that was real, but it was just a print.
Yeah. I got a Dali print, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't been, you have all these prints, but
physical and metaphysical,
you'll know that they're actually
it's verified on the blockchain. Ownership. And as Chainlink grows, yeah, there's going to be more and more stuff that's going to be chain-linked, verified. You actually own this. This actually is a thing.
Yeah, you think Chainlink is the shit?
I mean, I think really with the Bored Ape thing though, we didn't touch on it, but I'll just briefly cover it. Yeah, these two whales just crashed the market, and then they liquidate.
They own all of Blur now.
Now they're getting all of the Blur rewards, and the people that are in charge of Blur, and so are people going to move to another place? It's going to be real weird because the way that you trade NFTs in the entire market has completely been disrupted overnight. When they said don't use OpenSea, and then OpenSea responded.
And he also fucked over a lot of people because like the people who liquidated are like who put their NFTs as collateral. He was effectively lowering the floor of,
Well, the big thing was, though, what they saw as an advantage or an opportunity. There were all these people saying, I'm going to bid on Bored Apes, even though I'm not going to buy them, but I'm going to put up a lot of ETH to farm the Blur. So then they've been hurting the floors because, hey, Pudgy Penguins are at 6. So I'm going to spend $500,000 bidding on Pudgy Penguins at 5 so I can collect Blur, even though I don't want to buy Pudgy Penguins. And then what happened with the Bored Apes was, okay, you guys have put up billions of dollars or millions of dollars to buy Bored Apes at this lower price. I have a ton of Bored Apes. I will personally lower the floor and you will be forced to buy them. So the joke of the guy breaking into the car and he was like, I had one Bored Ape in my car and now I have 43. The fuckers who were trying to farm Blur ended up being forced to buy all this shit. But then the market is completely disrupted because I'm a Pudgy Penguin holder. I'm on OpenSea. Why are people
between so many wallets?
And they're putting up money just to get Blur tokens. But then Blur has started getting dumped, and this is the classic age-old tale of whoever earns. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm going to earn rewards." Okay, but there's a bigger whale earning more rewards who's going to sell.
Are trying to gamify the system so you earn.
They're going to sell all the rewards. And so whatever little rewards you get are going to be worth nothing once they sell all their rewards.
This game has lasted
over and over. Urzdal looks rare.
Yeah.
Fucking
has not
time. Everything where you earn rewards. The whales get the rewards and dump before retail gets up.
It's been gamified, so people with large like you don't expect it.
Hey,
you don't expect this guy.
There are no
rules.
There are no rules, and so big bank take little bank if properly played.
And that's the thing. It's like everyone in crypto Twitter was like, I respect the move. It was shitty for the dudes. But
it's shitty for the people that got liquidated because they lent their Bored Ape for money to take out loans to gamble more money. Oh, boo-hoo. You put up your Bored Ape
you
for
knew
100
exactly what you were signing up for when you put
So if your Bored Ape dropped 20% below the floor, you would get liquidated of everything. Are you dumb? That can happen. The NFT or crypto markets can go up and down because they're at the will of whoever's in control of the supply. It's kind of, but that's really the story of what happened this week. That was the big story because it was eye-opening that these people are not fair players. They are not going to they're not going to treat you respectfully.
This was so big last week, and then literally a week after that, it's literally gone. Like, shit's shut down. It's crazy. Crypto moves so fast, like we all know. Like
well, the Blur price has been jumping up and down.
I mean, like, maybe if you got that airdrop initially, maybe you just sell it right away.
Well, the people that sold it right away missed out on some gains, but then it's bounced back up and down. It started at 0.5, went up to 1.5. It's down to 0.8.
But is it worth the head? You're mental.
There are some people that made a shit ton of money.
You're mental.
I saw this one thing about people being like, I had a DYDX friend that had 50,000, but he spread it across different wallets, and then he farmed an airdrop that made him like 3 million. You only got to do it right once. That's the thing about crypto. It's not a scratch off because if you have enough skill, you can win. And you only need to win once. If you're just in touch, if you're always listening to Brian and I, if you're a loyal podcast, no, I'm just playing. But on the flip side, every day there's life-changing opportunities. There's that one guy that did that one thing, and they've been fucking up their whole life. Or they screwed up and lost a shit ton of money. Gainsy went up and down, right?
Everyone's gone up and down, especially.
And if you just do the one thing, if you had just bought 1,000 checks or 100 checks,
or even 1,000, like, I mean, you can't expect people to just buy checks.
Shiba Inu. No, you can just think of a lot of people throwing $1,000 at some dumb thing and getting generationally wealthy.
Sounds cool.
Well, the Shiba Inu family, what did they put in? Like $800? And now they're traveling the world for the rest of their life because they're like millionaires.
Oh, and they sold off. But I mean,
they just were like in early. Like if you're just in early.
You just have millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
There's a lot of people where they were just like, yeah, I had like 7 Bored Apes. I no longer ever have to work. I farmed all the airdrops, or like
they sold them at 2.
Yeah, and then there's the people who are just like, and then that's why it messes with your head to be in crypto because you're like, fuck, dude.
You think back on your past decisions.
How many times have I sent you stuff where I was like, dude, I sent you this, and then it's up 6x like 2 days later.
So it's crazy, but like, what do you got?
Yeah, the life-changing money, not financial advice. For me, it's like a hard shill to get into after I just said that. It's GMX, dude. It's options. It's gambling.
It's on Arbitrum.
It's on Arbitrum.
Talk about Arbitrum, breaking to Arbitrum.
The idea of derivatives, and then the cool thing, I like this idea of, in terms of credit, why can crypto not beat out Visa, MasterCard, Amex, PayPal? Why don't we invest in a coin that gives out loans, that beats out these? What's fair value? I guess you'd have to track people's credit cards. I think it could be done by technology. So I would like to invest in the company that can beat the credit card companies at a better rate, with just a group, like a handful of Indians, programming like a algorithm, instead of the giant bureaucracy of Visa backed by the power of the US government. I would hope that when I take out a loan on my credit card, I get charged 23% or something, or 20, or I don't know. I'm not positive, but
you don't make the full payment.
If you don't make the full payment, you're getting charged very harshly. Why can't I be the person on the other side loaning it to that person who's taking out high interest loans? And why can't we meet in the middle? I'll give you a loan for 16%, 13%. So at the moment, the easiest risk-free yields you get are 4%, I believe. Why can't we do a decentralized credit card company? Why can't we provide each other loans?
It's coming.
Why can't we make markets where...
Testnet.
So GMX is creating markets for derivatives on crypto. They're doing perpetuals, perps, which is a very complicated idea to explain. They're doing futures. They're doing gambling and bets. Rollbit is doing bets. Slowly and surely, we're going to get to efficient markets for derivatives that will not be regulated, and they will be even fairer, and there will be less fees because it will be all technology instead of a giant bureaucracy. If I'm going to be doing calls and puts, they should be done through technology based off of the technology that a few nerds in the corner of the world get paid nothing to create. And I want to just provide liquidity for other people to borrow, to gamble 100x Bitcoin futures. I bet that in 6 months, Bitcoin's going to be at 50K. And I'll like, here's my money, give me 10% back. So you don't go to Visa for 23. Why can't this happen?
Just the training and
it's just moving the liquidity and like being in control of your own
people
stuff.
don't know how to handle the credit cards.
And GMX, they make their markets, and I think they make it basically slowly but surely. It will not be a group of people bookmaking and gambling on Rollbit or GMX. It will just be efficient systems that are technologically creating derivatives markets where I can bet on futures and they'll just create efficient markets.
Yeah. So my show is coin on the stock market, because like we said, like Wall Street, it's still going down, even though crypto Twitter has thought this is a 2 to 3x. So I just feel like Wall Street doesn't know the impact because they're just not that knowledgeable in crypto.
They're vulnerable to the grander ideas, and I back up Brian's coin show. Seriously, dude. They just Brian Armstrong.
It's underpriced. It's
the bald king.
They don't
the
know
bald
how to
king.
price it.
Yeah. But
So,
that was another episode of the Cryptosparta Podcast.
Thank you for
Thanks for listening, Smithy.
Peace.